Hello, and how's everybody doing today? Welcome back. This is Flatland Relics. I am Matt, and today we are going to be adding the brackets onto a Mopar 8 3/4 rear axle housing and then putting it back underneath the frame. This is not a full how-to video today. This is just a reapplication of the brackets. Basically, I start and I lean the housing back about 3.5 degrees. That's like a rough setting that most people say work pretty good, so that's what I do. And then nice little trick to hold your brackets on while you're doing it. Get yourself some zip ties, or you can use a big C-clamp. Just something to hold the bracket there so you're not trying to hold it with one hand and weld with the other hand. You need to be able to set it, and you need to be able to set it plumb after you have the axle housing at 3.5 degrees. I will definitely say that this is the time to take your time. Check everything a couple times. And there's a really good chance that you're not going to tack the brackets on correctly and you're going to have to move them. And the entire reason why I say that is because I tacked this bracket on out of plumb. First shot, right out the gate. So, like I said, you have to really make sure those are right. You want those dead plumb, and you want your axle housing sitting at about 3.5 degrees. Well, for me, it's 3.5 degrees. That doesn't count if you're doing truck stuff or other stuff or anything lifted or anything, all right? And here you can definitely see me just kind of going back and forth again and again, checking everything, checking, tack it, check it, you know. This is the part of the process that moves kind of slow. But it's got to be right. I can't reiterate that enough. You got to make sure everything's where you need it to be. I was not happy with the way this layout I did with the purple Sharpie was, so I wire wheeled it off and just did it again. One thing I do like to double check is when you're pulling center or anything, figure out your full width, divide it by 2, pull from one side, mark that number, and then flip your tape and pull from the other side and make sure that number is the same. Because if not, then you're off center and you know it. It's just a quick way to double check your math. In all my infinite wisdom, I realized I only had to put the top 2 tabs on, and then I could just put this back underneath the car, bolt everything in, and that would locate the last 2 tabs. And then I could just double check everything, make sure it was good, and tack them in. So that's what I did. This was so much easier because I already had all the math and everything lined out where it had to go from the first time when I did it incorrectly. So I just diagrammed all that before I took it apart and cut everything off and cleaned all the parts. Excuse me. And then I just put it back together exactly where it was supposed to be. When I did this the first time, I actually made a brace that held the rear in place under the frame and welded all that together and had a big piece of square stock going across the top to hold it all in place and put a little weight on everything. As you can see, I don't have to do that this time. I'm just putting stuff back where it was on the other side of the rear axle housing. So, like I said, this is not like a legit how-to. You know, you can see a little bit of the process of how I get the tabs on and everything. But when I located everything the first time, it was a much slower process and a lot more difficult. That's just a little cleanup, knocking those tabs down so I don't have the points hanging over. Just looks a little nicer. I'm not one of those people that's going to sit here and harp and harp and harp about safety, but I do wear PPE when I'm working, and this is exactly why. That cutoff wheel snapped. Luckily, it didn't shatter. If you ever have one shatter, it's pretty scary, and you definitely want a face shield on, or at the bare minimum, some safety glasses. But like, I wear a face shield almost every time I cut, and I kind of suggest other people to do the same. So for the rest of this video, I'm adding some gussets to my cross members that I had to put in for the 4-link. So it's just some little triangle pieces that I weld in. Here I'm getting a factory bracket out of the way for brake lines or whatever it was for, who knows. And yeah, it's just pretty straightforward from here. Just adding some strength to the stuff that I put into the vehicle. that's it for this week. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe if you like what you saw. Have a good day.